right, this is wonderful to be here today. This is actually my 10th Impact. It's wonderful to see friends of old and new faces, so thank you for coming here today. Let's start off just by introducing each of the panelists. Just give an intro of who you are and what you do. We'll start there. Josh, let's start with you.
So I was the guy up here rambling as fast as I possibly could 10 minutes ago. So my name's Josh Kreitzer. I've been in Orange County 25 years, building businesses, starting with a company like Ingram Micro right down the way. It's where I got my career start, to now having an agency that I built right here in Orange County.
Hi, Joe Megibow. I'm from Northern California. Only my third Impact, but give me another 7 years and I'll catch up.
You're along the way, Joe.
I spent my career primarily in consumer, retail, and e-commerce, large companies, Expedia, American Eagle Outfitters. Josh spoke before on the power of video. My last job ran a mattress company called Purple Mattress, where we built a $700 million business literally on the back of arbitraging video. So what he said, listen to this guy. It's a real opportunity out there. Right now I'm running a really interesting AI-driven wine company. We're a direct-to-consumer wine subscription company. We deconstructed taste using a variety of very data-driven models. We then are able to actually, based on inputs we get, and the problem is a cold start problem. If you're new to wine, and we really cater primarily, it's about 80% female, mostly under 35. So these are new drinkers, people who love wine but don't know a lot about wine. How do you start the cold start problem of, I don't even know what to ask? So we came up with a way to ask a bunch of interesting questions that aren't about wine. What sweets do you get? Are you a dark chocolate person or gummy bears? What do you get at the bar? Is it a whiskey sour or a margarita or a scotch on the rocks? And from a series of these questions, we can then deconstruct your how much you map to things like astringency or bitterness or acidity or sweetness or things like that. We then take algorithmic analysis of all of the wine that we make, and it's a vertical loop because from the data signals we get, we then produce the wine that we know exactly is right for our customers and match that. We have millions of data points now where we're able to constantly get smarter and map wines to people that they may never even have heard of, that we have high data efficacy that we know you're gonna love it. Really, really cool application of both manufacturing and data-driven around what's historically been a very old world artistic thing.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Peck. I'm the Chief Information Digital Officer at Sysco. I have responsibility for anything related to technology, e-commerce, cybersecurity, and actually have inbound supply chain logistics and freight. And the logic behind that was supply chain is all about data and technology, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Sysco, we're the Sysco with the S, the food company. We're an $80 billion food distribution company. We have operations around the globe. We have about 725,000 customers. If you go out and eat at a restaurant, you are probably eating food that comes through our distribution channels. About 2/3 of our customers are restaurants. We also do college cafeterias, nursing homes, sports stadiums, airports, prisons, et cetera, et cetera. We have about 17,000 trucks. You've probably seen our 18-wheelers blocking traffic periodically. Just to put it in perspective, we do generally what we call food away from home, which is generally everything other than retail grocery, although we do a little bit of retail grocery. Just to put it in perspective, we do about $30 million of steaks, just to a not to be named national steak chain. That's $30 million of steak that they're probably charging you like $500 million for. But and we do about $30 million in produce with membership clubs that you probably shop at, just to give you some perspective. And just real quickly, when you think about Sysco, what are we? We're a product company. We have great products and great food, and we do everything from high-end steak and seafood to moving fast food and everything in between. So we're definitely a product company. We're also a supply chain company. Warehouses, trucks, that's what we do. We move food. But I would say we're also a digital and e-commerce company. 80% of our orders are coming through e-commerce, self-serviced orders from chefs and restaurateurs. And if you think about that, we actually have one of the top 10 largest e-commerce sites on the planet measured in dollars. You would never know that because we're a B2B company. So And I look forward to sharing a little bit more about what we're doing.
Awesome.
David.
Well, that's kind of hard to follow up on. Should have had you
You'll
go
do
last.
it.
Should have had you go last. My name's David Latona. I'm from the Los Angeles area. I grew up out in the San Fernando Valley in Calabasas. Recently lived down here in Newport Beach for about 10 or 12 years. And I've been in the supply chain logistics industry my entire career, 39 years now at this point. Started off doing garment on hanger systems for apparel in the Vernon and downtown LA area. And I currently run a company called Tompkins Solutions. We have major offices in Orlando and Raleigh, North Carolina, as well as here in Irvine, California. And we're a systems integration company. We do the consulting and the design of distribution centers, and then we effect the installations as well. Putting in the conveyors, different robotics, automatic sortation, along with all the software that runs those systems for our customers.
Thank you so much. Fantastic for everyone to meet the panel. So you're all from a variety of different backgrounds, but I know there are things that are interesting in your space and inspire you. So I'd like to hear from each of you, like when you wake up in the morning right now, like what are you inspired within your space? And Josh, again, let's start with you.
Yeah, so, when I was a punk kid working at Circuit City, I went from selling like the little tchotchke phones, like the Panasonic wireless phones, right? Like that was a good time. And then I got promoted quickly into computers. This is back when there was like a 64 megabyte hard drive, right? It was at that time that I got like really geeky and nerdy about, we'll just call it, I don't want to say profiling because that sounds bad, but it's like audience identification. And I started to see, okay, if a mom came in with a kid in tow and she walked into this like computer area, right? Why is she there? She's there because she's looking to do this new digital photography thing, right? And she wants to save all the memories of her baby, right? And that's, that was a lot of fun. I would then identify like, okay, you don't need the most expensive computer. You need the computer that's going to do really good things with digital photos and a hard drive, right? And then you get the guy that comes in and he's laced in diamonds and all that, and then all of a sudden you're like, that guy just wants to show off to his friends that he's got the latest, hottest, coolest computer, right? And that was like real in time, in person, right? But then the advent of the internet and e-commerce came about. And what got me really excited when I used to work here at a company called Buy.com, some of you guys remember them, but that all of a sudden was like a digital experience, and I got to tinker with like shopper behavior analysis to go, okay, like if I put this buy now button in orange or red, or instead of saying buy now, I say add to cart, or like all of that tinkering was a ton of fun. Now flash forward to where we are today, and yeah, I'm still gonna, not because Jay's sitting next to me, okay? But I'm gonna plug Amazon. Like, this is a really exciting and fun landscape where we actually get to like, okay, let's look at the real thing that needs to happen to grow your business. That's what we do. And then we go, okay, like which tool set do we use to deliver that outcome? And right now, more often than not, and that's why they're growing so ridiculously fast, it's Amazon. Like think about, they've got TV commercials for people who have a business that may not have a like Super Bowl budget, right? And we can literally take your business and put you on screens. And it's not shotgunning the world. It's like, okay, people who are currently in market for a specific age demographic, exactly what you're looking for, and oh, by the way, we're gonna put a QR code so they will go immediately to your website. Like, that is what right now is getting me out of bed in the morning. It gets me really, really excited.
Love it. Joe, other than drinking wine every day, or is that what gets you out of bed every day?
I sell wine for a living. What do you do?
Something much less fun.
Yeah, although when you're tasting 24 wines at 9:30 in the morning, you come to realize it's all just work at the end of the day. I have a master sommelier. She reminds me all the time there's a difference of drinking and tasting, which I feel free to use that line anytime you want. Now I've spent most of my career in much, much larger companies where we've had to have enormous technology teams to get anything done. My last company, we had 100 engineers. Company before that, we had 300. The company I had before that, we had 5,000. What's happened over literally just the last couple of years is the opportunity, and I mean AI and all we're saying with ChatGPT and other AI models, the availability of tools and platforms to compete at scale from a very small size. I've never seen anything like what's happened in the last couple of years. My company, relatively small, we're 15, 20 million in sales. I had 24 people managing a bespoke proprietary application stack that we had custom built for our own AI models and shopping. But the reality is our core IP was a very small piece of what we had built. And ultimately I realized I didn't need any of them. And I know this sounds crazy, but I literally let the entire team go, including my CTO. Don't worry. We moved everything onto off-the-shelf stuff, except for our core data model. I kept a data scientist. Everything onto off-the-shelf. We happened to go with Shopify and an ecosystem of network around that. Literally in 9 weeks, we replicated what had taken us 7 years to build. And we were able to increase our conversion, our AOV, our average order value went up by 20%, our retention curves have improved. I mean, nearly every aspect of our business has improved running the entire thing with one full-time person. At lower cost, by the way. Even the startup costs, which can be expensive to do a build-out, my fully loaded startup costs to go live with the new platform and a full ecosystem, which included new literally warehouses, we had to move all the inventory into third-party logistics, all of that combined was still less than the annual labor I was carrying. And that's my challenge to all of you, and this gets me really excited. There's no excuses anymore. There is no business out there, whether you're doing $1 million in sales or doing $1 billion in sales, that you can't be competing with state-of-the-art current capabilities on modern platforms with modern technologies. The availability in the ecosystem is mind-blowing right now. Mind-blowing and changing so fast. It's accelerating. And it's creating a lot of opportunity for new businesses, for innovation. We're doing it, and I expect there's going to be a lot more doing it, and that's really exciting.
Outstanding, thank you. Tom, interesting and inspiring in your space.
So when I took the job at Sysco, or actually before I took the job at Sysco, I said, how hard can this be? You know, we put stuff in a warehouse, we put it on a truck, and we get it to where it needs to go. And as a person who's been eating at restaurants for a very long time, it's actually super complicated. And I'm going to give you an answer that you probably wouldn't expect. We're doing some pretty cool robotics and next generation material handling equipment. By the way, did you notice there's 80 different types of tomatoes, and if you run them through a handler, a material handling equipment, a conveyor belt, the technology can look at it, weigh it, look for spots, look for the circular shape of the tomato. We have technology that's cutting perfect 8-ounce fillets with laser beams in seconds. That's all kind of cool stuff. But virtual reality goggles to help with picking in a warehouse. But that's not what excites me. That's kind of the stuff we should be doing and partnering with supply chain companies to do that stuff. But it's about the data, and it's about the AI and the GenAI. Just let me spend one quick minute. We've been doing AI at Sysco for many years, or traditional data science, which you've heard earlier. It's all about triggers and input signals and learning from data sets and math and statistics. We know that if you buy a certain type of food, you have a propensity to buy other things. So we do upselling and cross-selling. So from a consumer's perspective, you've been doing that for many, many years. But for chefs and restaurateurs, that's new. We have larger average order values. We're getting more lines per order. That's self-service, 80%. Next best actions for a sales team. Hey, you forgot to buy this, dynamic pricing, all those things. The intelligence that goes into our trucks and our routing, a typical truck has about 8 to 12 routes that you do per day, and every truck has up to 3 temperature zones. We're already doing data science and AI for the routing of those trucks and the next generation of telematics and the geospatial positioning of those trucks and generating routes on demand based on traffic, weather, et cetera, et cetera. And believe it or not, when we train our loaders and our truck drivers, we have life-size Jenga block type games, the little Jenga block games that you play. We have large boxes and crates that simulate real food and how we load those trucks. Imagine if the artificial intelligence and the routing could load our trucks for us with robotics. Every empty cubic foot of space is lost revenue. Every backhaul without cargo is lost revenue, and every minute that it takes us to do a pick route in a warehouse is extra cost. So it's all about the data, it's all about the predictive, it's all about this prescriptive. And oh, by the way, the holy grail for us is generating and curating menus and bridging raw material to a point of sale system in a restaurant. If we can crack that code, we'll win. It's harder than you think because when you have a menu item, how you season that, how you serve that doesn't equate and correlate directly to raw materials. So to me, it's about data, it's about intelligence, it's about taking thinking out of what we do so we can focus on the relationships.
Fantastic, thank you.
I think there's a perception today. You talk about what inspires me and so forth. I'm going to steal a line from a friend of mine who made a presentation earlier this week. We're at the same point in time with AI as AOL online with that horrible screeching sound as you were connecting to say you've got mail. We're at the same point in AI development as we were back then. And so when I look at how we can use AI on my side of the business, again, when we get a call from a potential client and they want us to tell them where should our next distribution center be and how large should it be and what's it going to look like, and we do all this data gathering of what the SKU profile physically looks like, DIMs and weights, and what the order profiles are. Is it D2C, is it B2B, and what does it look like in your world? And then we say, most importantly, where are you going? Because we have to create the future state environment. I'm not going to put out $30, $40 million in a distribution center to handle today's volume. We're going to handle 5, 7, 10 years from now. And so they give us their growth data. Now, aside from e-commerce in the last 2 or 3 years, which has been off the charts, we typically have to temper that because the information is generally anecdotal coming from a salesperson in those different markets. I feel like I'm going to do more next year. My clients are growing. All the other pieces that go along with it. And so we take a collaborative approach and we see where the data is going to drive us to the to the future state. But what with AI can do, we can then take a look at, let's say it's an electrical plumbing house or a construction company. What's the home market? How many permits have been pulled? We can pull all sorts of ancillary data around that marketplace that will have an effect, concatenate it all, and see patterns that they didn't see from the anecdotal responses. So we can be much more specific about what the future state environment's going to be and how we're going to handle it. Because on the other side of it, once we actually know what they're going to look like and what the requirements are, then we take a look at building out a distribution center with robotics and goods to man person and all the same stuff Tom was just mentioning. But at the same time, I can tell you, you're going to go invest $35, $40 million in a distribution center. It's going to take us 18 to 20 months to build it for you. And I'm going to give you a cartoon-like example of an exact digital twin, showing the goods coming in the door, being processed through the different stations as they go, and out the door, and give you proof of concept and the design in real time through AI simulation. And that should put a lot of people's mind at ease, knowing where they're exactly going to go, and this is actually a solution that will fit your next step.
Outstanding, wonderful. We were all entertained last night by Kevin Lee and his magic. He's absolutely outstanding. So if you had Kevin Lee doing a trick or a magic wand for you in your space, whether this be AI or not, what would you use that magic wand for?
I'm going to go first.
Oh yeah, baby.
Wow, that's a good question. I think for me it'd be more centered around rapid expansion of the team that I have around the globe, where I instantly have more people that I get to teach, train, and mentor. Gen Z is a thing. They have $33 trillion in buying power in the course of the next 5 years, by the way. Getting more employees in terms of people and making a positive impact in their life, and teaching them the success principles that, quite frankly, I don't think social media is teaching them right now. For me, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, by the way. That's the real why behind the why. That would be the magic wand, is like instantly I've got 10,000 employees and I get to like teach, train, and mentor them, whether that be through video or on TikTok, for crying out loud, which is what I was literally told by my social team the other day, like I need to be a TikTok influencer.
Resist.
But that would be the magic wand, is I get to impact more people.
Love it. Joe, magic wand is all yours.
Why, thank you. By the way, Jay introduced me to Kevin Lee a year and a half ago, and we brought him in, have a all over the country virtual team. And over Zoom, he blew everyone away. I was on Zoom.
Yeah.
I didn't think magic over Zoom would work, but it was amazing. So if any of you are looking for team building things for your companies, thumbs up from me. I geek out over unlocking consumer behavior, consumer insights, and that. And there's we already have unlocked all sorts of things, and this is specific to wine right now. That's what I'm focused on right now. There are biases people think they have about wine. If I give someone a bottle of Chardonnay, I know how it's going to rate. If I put that same wine in a different bottle and call it a California white blend, it's actually going to perform better. Same wine. In fact, all the time we put the same wine in different labels and different bottles just to see what happens. And it's amazing how much psychology there is around taste and experience, and the context around it, and so forth. And it turns out the number of taste profiles, everyone thinks they're a unique snowflake and no one is like me, but it turns out there are clusters of taste profiles that are really, really interesting. So if I could wave my magic wand, we've been exploring with food scientists and with labs where we can use spectroscopy or spectrometry to actually unlock the taste and odors and phenomes and things in the wine. And it turns out that can actually be mapped to clusters we've already developed around consumer taste profiles at a level that has never been done in the category. And ultimately, it means making better wine. And we literally have the data sets, we've got the tools. I just don't have the time and money right now, so that's what my magic wand would let me do.
I love it. Magic wand is all yours, Tom.
Don't need a magic wand. I need magic Kool-Aid or a tattoo or a chip that we can put in our employees that instantly trains them up. And let me tell you what I mean by that. One of the challenges a lot of supply chain companies have, warehouse companies, truck driver companies, is there's turnover. When the pandemic hit, people left, volume was down, supply chain problems, and a lot of those people never came back to work. And there's a lot of turnover in the blue collar workforce. And pennies count in our business, low margin business, pennies count. Every minute that it takes somebody longer to do a pick route in a warehouse, or every hour it takes a driver to do a route longer, it's costing money. And employee retention is usually important to us. So whether it's robotics or artificial intelligence, we have handheld devices, we have little technologies we put on people's fingertips where they can finger scan. We have readers that we put on forearms that tell them pick routes. All those technologies help, but at the end of the day, it's all about how fast can you upskill and train your employees, and how do you drive the retention, the loyalty, and make them want to work for companies like Sysco or wherever you happen to be. So technology is part of it, but crafting that loyalty, that retention, and making them want to stay is the magic sauce, the Kool-Aid that we want.
Excellent, thank you.
So it was a magic wand within my own business, or can I just want to run his wine company? Does that not work? Okay.
It's your magic wand.
I'm thinking 9:30 in the morning, he's tasting wine. That's not a bad gig. I think Tom hit on the key for us as well. I try very hard with a fairly high EQ within our staff, between corporate surveys and ENPS scores and getting the feedback. And I'll tell you, I have, like everybody else does, a lot of competition in the US and the North American market. We also serve Europe and some Asian markets as well. And the equipment that we put together is only as good as the people who are fitting it to your application, to the customer's application. So I try very hard to make our staff poach-proof because the differentiator between our company and our competitors are our human resources. And so if I could wave a magic wand, it would be that my ENPS scores would always be through the roof, and I'd have 100% participation, and people would like working there, and it wouldn't be just about the transactional dollar, because without the human resources, I don't have a company anymore.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, now we're going to go very, very rapid fire because I know we only have a minute or so left. Okay. A company, person, or a tool that everybody in this room should check out. Rapid fire. We all know ChatGPT. Fine. Yeah. What should we all check out? Rapid fire.
So go to YouTube, type in Golden Circle TED Talk. Go watch that. Simon Sinek is a person that I strongly recommend everybody follow. And during the pandemic, he created a podcast called A Bit of Optimism, because the world just needed a little bit of that. That would be it. That TED Talk, by the way, is the second most viewed TED Talk in the history of humankind. And it has a number of really amazing elements to it about leadership, about how to build a brand, about how to communicate to the world, and then really focusing on, and the question that in that TED Talk that hit me the hardest was, why do you get out of bed in the morning, and why should anybody care? Right? So Simon Sinek, Golden Circle TED Talk, there's my rapid fire answer.
Excellent.
If any of you have one, feel free to jump in.
We're out of time, so I'm going to concede my time to my colleague here.
Nicely done.
I can't remember the name of the book, but it's written by Shane Jackson from the Jackson Healthcare Organization in Atlanta, and it's on corporate culture. And it really breaks down the generational differences. Do yourself a favor, take a few hours and read this book, and it will change your perspective on a lot of things.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
I'll go with the spirit of what I've been talking about. And I'll go with TED Talk. There's a Malcolm Gladwell talk that you can find on spaghetti sauce. And it is, if you're a marketer and you're trying to understand consumer choice, it's about 15 years old maybe. Fantastic. Spaghetti sauce.
And I don't want to endorse a particular product or vendor, but I would just, you heard a little theme earlier about audio and video, and I really do think that video and how you communicate with your employees, your customers, your suppliers is really going to be a game changer, and it's just scratching the surface on the possibilities.
Absolutely fantastic. That was going to be my last. Video, video, video. Everything we see in the data at Amazon from our consumers tells us they want brands and companies to communicate to them in video. So if you don't have a robust video strategy, develop one. And there's amazing partners. You've seen some of them today. You know, just like Josh Channel Bakers, who can produce amazing high quality video for you. Video, video, video. Panelists, thank you so much.